Before the name Judy Austin began to echo across Nigerian headlines, she was simply Moralu Uchechukwu Judith, a young girl from Anambra State, born into a modest Igbo home, navigating the early life responsibilities with barely enough time to figure out who she was. We often think people become who they are through fame, success, or failure, but for Judy, some of the most defining experiences came long before she ever set foot on a movie set. According to available records, Judy became a mother at a relatively young age, likely in her late teens or early 20s. Not much is known publicly about the specific circumstances surrounding that early pregnancy, but one thing is clear: her journey into womanhood was fast-tracked, not just emotionally, but circumstantially. Early motherhood, especially in a culture like ours, can shape a young girl's psychology in two very opposite directions. It can either weigh her down with shame and societal pressure, or it can awaken in her a deep, almost desperate sense of ambition to prove herself, to create a new story out of an old, unpleasant one. With Judy, it seems the latter part was more likely. She wasn't just going to sit with the narrative that life handed her, she was determined to rewrite it. Somewhere along the way, she met her first husband, a man popularly identified as Mr. Obasi. And for a time, that story seemed to hold. Together they had 2 children, and it is said that Mr. Obasi not only accepted Judy's child from her previous relationship, but also reportedly supported her ambition by sponsoring her education. That support would later prove significant, not just because he offered her new opportunities, but because he signaled the start of her transition from a domestic life to one with more public ambition. This chapter of Judy's life, young motherhood, early marriage, schooling, often gets overlooked in the loud chaos of her recent controversies. But it's in this quiet, blurry phase that the seeds of her personality were likely formed. A girl who once had to fight the stigma of early motherhood now desired something more visible, more defined. Stability was not enough. She wanted recognition. And slowly, that search for recognition would take her away from the life she had built with Mr. Obasi into a new world, Nollywood. Before Nollywood became a real possibility, Judy was still deeply rooted in a different kind of life, one filled with motherhood, responsibility, and a marriage that by most accounts had a traditional foundation. Her husband, Mr. Obasi, was reportedly the man who supported her early ambitions. He helped her go back to school, cared for the children, and gave her the space to grow, perhaps with the hope that as she grew, she would take the family along with her. But something shifted. Somewhere along the line, the responsibilities of marriage and the lure of the entertainment industry began to clash. This isn't an unfamiliar story. The promise of Nollywood, the cameras, the lights, the adoration can sometimes feel like a way out, a second chance at becoming someone bigger. And for someone like Judy, who's already experienced motherhood and the domesticity that comes with it, chasing a dream must have felt both exhilarating and terrifying. There's something worth reflecting on here. Many women in similar shoes struggle with the guilt of wanting more freedom, more recognition, more autonomy. And for someone like Judy, who might think entered into early marriage due to the stigma of already having a child, these feelings must have been more. Even when it means shaking up the life that once felt stable, Judy was willing to take that step. Judy's decision to pursue acting wasn't just about talent or passion, it was likely about identity, the desire to be seen, not just as someone's wife or mother, but as an individual, someone with her own story to tell, her own goals, her own power, her own dreams. And it didn't come easy. Her rise in Nollywood wasn't explosive. It was slow, almost quiet, supporting roles here and there, background appearances, a kind of grinding entry that didn't make headlines, but was still building towards something. This period of her life, this in-between of being a wife and also trying to be a star, is where you start to see the cracks. It's important to remember that Judy didn't enter Nollywood the same year she got married. Though her marriage reportedly began in 2010, her entry into the film industry came much later. sometime in the early 2010s, maybe 2011, 2012, or even 2013. And according to reports, she got divorced from her husband, Mr. Obasi, in 2018. That means there was a span of at least 4 to 5 years where she was juggling two identities, wife and actress, a mother on one end and a rising star on the other. And within that space, we have to ask, was tension gradually brewing during those years? Was Mr. Obasi, who once supported her ambitions, beginning to feel sidelined? Insecurity has a way of creeping in when the dynamics in a marriage begin to shift. Judy was constantly going from one movie set to another, meeting different people, being introduced to new lifestyles, ambitions, and mindsets. That constant exposure to life outside the traditional family structure could have subtly started shifting her perspective, especially because she must have been interacting with well-educated and literate people. And Mr. Obasi, as we know, was not really well-educated in terms of attending a higher institution. It's not hard to imagine the pressure. You're on a film set with people who are young, attractive, successful. You come home to crying children, house chores, and a husband who perhaps can't understand the world you are now navigating. There's love, yes, but maybe it starts to feel like a cage, a drag on the wings of something bigger you're chasing. Did her husband at any point give her an ultimatum? Did he ask her to choose her home or her dream? Did Judy standing at the crossroad feel like her only option was to walk away? Maybe yes, Mr. Obasi felt his wife was slipping out of his hands and gave her an ultimatum of choosing what she wanted. And she felt, okay, I needed to pursue my dream, and she chose to walk away. And let's not forget, when she eventually left the marriage in 2018, she didn't leave empty-handed. She left with the children, abandoning the man she once called her partner. That's not a small decision. That's not a casual exit. It suggests a level of certainty, or perhaps a final straw that broke the already thinning cord between them. Of course, no one knows exactly what played out behind those closed doors. We can only ask the questions that the timeline invites. Was it just the dream that pulled her away, or was there someone she had already met? Someone who made the idea of staying unbearable? These are the unspoken tensions that define this chapter in Judy's story, a slow unraveling that may have started long before anyone noticed. Because what we often see on the outside as ambition can sometimes be an escape from boredom, an escape from expectation, or maybe, just maybe, an escape towards something or someone new. According to Judy's own account, she had left her first marriage before she began dating actor Yul Edochie. That's what she says. But let's be honest, even if it wasn't true, would she admit it? Highly unlikely, because if she had met Yul while still married and began a relationship with him while still tied to Mr. Obasi, that would be deeply scandalous. So naturally, she would deny it. And given the firestorm that followed when their relationship finally became public, it's clear that image management was essential to Judy from the beginning. But what does the public timeline tell us? From scattered interviews and blog posts, we know that Judy and Yul allegedly met on a movie set around 2016 or 2017. She was reportedly still married at that time, though by 2018 she had officially separated from Mr. Obasi and moved out with her children. That same year, she began appearing more frequently in Yul's productions. By 2021, rumors were already swirling about an affair, and by 2022, Judy had given birth to Yul's child. So if you connect the dots, something had already probably begun brewing well before the public announcement. It's no secret, Nollywood can blur personal and professional lines. For many actors, movie sets become emotionally charged spaces. You're pretending to be lovers, you're spending long hours together, sometimes the performance spills into real life. So was that what happened between Judy and Yul? Judy is a beautiful woman, no doubt, and she was young, ambitious, and trying to break into an industry Yul was already dominating. Yul, on the other hand, had power, popularity, and experience. Did he see something in her that sparked more than professional interest? Did she begin to see him in a better fit? Someone more educated, more handsome, more influential than her then husband? These are the small emotional shifts that begin quiet and grow over time. You don't always notice when the lines start to blur until it's too late. Now let's address the turning point, the pregnancy. This wasn't Judy's first time around motherhood. She already had 2 children from her previous marriage and another child from a previous relationship. So this is a woman who understands her cycle, who knows how ovulation works, who understands protection, timing, and choices. This was not an accidental pregnancy. This is not a naive girl who didn't know better. So the question is, why did she get pregnant for Yul Edochie? Was it a genuine accident between 2 people in love? Or was it strategic? Think about it. They were in a secret relationship, it wasn't public, and Yul Edochie was still a married man with a family. Without pregnancy, it's likely their affair would never have survived the public eye. In fact, if it had come out without a baby in the picture, Yul might have backed away completely. But with a child, that changes the game. A child makes everything permanent. It forces public accountability. It creates emotional, spiritual, and sometimes even financial bonds that are difficult to sever. In fact, many believe that Judy's pregnancy was her entry ticket into Yul's life permanently. It gave her leverage. It made it harder for Yul to walk away no matter the backlash. Now we ask, was this something they planned together? Or was Yul blindsided, caught up in the thrill of an affair, not realizing that Judy had bigger intentions? From everything we know, the pregnancy didn't just happen. It was likely a conscious decision, perhaps by one person or maybe by both, to solidify a relationship that had been in the shadows for way too long. It was the one thing that could force the relationship into the open, and it worked. Because after the child was born, Yul shocked the world by announcing Judy as his second wife. Now, when you step back and look at Judy's exit from her first marriage, it starts to look less like a woman simply chasing her Nollywood dreams, and more like a woman transitioning from one life to another, possibly into the arms of someone else. Was Yul a factor in the breakdown of her first marriage? Maybe not directly, but emotionally, spiritually, maybe he was the image of something she wanted more. And maybe, just maybe, that image became so powerful, she was willing to risk everything for it. Her name, her reputation, and the narrative of her entire life. She got the man, she got the ring, she got the spotlight, or at least a version of it. So why is Judy Austin still so loud? Why is someone who has supposedly won still fighting to be seen? From the outside, it looks like a woman celebrating love, dancing on TikTok, singing praises to her husband, posting endless videos, sprinkling spirituality, and teaching women how to keep a man. But behind the ring light and filters, there is something deeper, something more unsettling, something perhaps no one is looking at. Restlessness. But not the kind that comes from chaos. This is the kind that comes from silence, utter silence. The silence of the very person she's trying so hard to provoke, that she's trying so hard to grab the attention from this person. The silence of the woman whose shoes she tried to fill but never could. And so she performs. She performs because she has to. She performs because deep down she knows there is no real applause. Let's unpack it. Imagine you cook a meal, and as people fight for it, your brain tells you it must be delicious. Scarcity adds value. Competition creates meaning. But when nobody reaches for it, when the pot is full and untouched, suddenly your appetite dies, your confidence drops, the value disappears. That's Judy's emotional dilemma right now. She thought winning Yul Edochie would feel like triumph, like elevation, like she would become the main character in a powerful love and struggle story. Obviously, she thought May would fight back. But instead, it feels like nothing. No standing ovation, no validation from the people who matter, just whispers, just criticism, just dead silence, especially from May. And that silence, it's killing her. So she keeps talking, she keeps dancing, she keeps posting, she keeps creating a storm, because in calm, there is no meaning. And without meaning, the entire battle she fought suddenly starts to look like a mistake. Judy isn't just battling public perception, she's battling May's silence. May never clapped back, never cursed her out, never publicly dragged her. She simply walked away in quiet grace, yet thunderous dignity. And that silence became Judy's torment. Imagine fighting to take something from someone, only for the person to act like it wasn't even worth fighting for. That's psychological torture. That's why Judy's TikTok and Instagram feed has become a full-blown show, a stage play without an audience. She's always posting, always preaching, always trying to prove something. And now she's even taking it a step further, giving marital advice. Yes, Judy Austin, who left her first marriage with Mr. Obasi under controversial circumstances, is now telling women online how to keep a man. She tells women what to do to make their husbands stay, to make them happy, how to treat their men, how to honor them, how to be submissive, patient, and wise. But here's the contradiction. If she knew so much about keeping a man, why couldn't she keep Mr. Obasi? Why did she leave her first marriage? Why wasn't she dancing for Mr. Obasi the way she dances for you today? Why wasn't she posting prayer videos and marital advice then? The truth is, this version of Judy Austin didn't exist until the world labeled her as the second wife. And ever since then, everything we have seen has looked less like love and more like a performance driven by insecurity. And then there's the children, back-to-back pregnancies, 3 children in a span of 3 years, no breaks, no pauses. It looks like a woman trying to secure something, a position, a presence, a permanence, almost like a silent competition with May, who had 4 children with you. It's as if Judy is trying to prove so hard, not just to the world, but to herself, that she's just as worthy or even more. So again, this brings us back to restlessness. Restlessness comes when the applause she expected never arrives. Even after everything, Judy just can't relax. Even with the man, she doesn't feel like she has won. Even with the children, she doesn't feel complete. Why? Because she keeps seeking May's attention. She just wants to poke that woman. She just wants her to reply, to talk back. She keeps trying to get the world to say, "You did well." She keeps throwing videos into the void, hoping someone will clap. From the spiritual prayers for May's children, where she called them by name and publicly blessed them, to the sudden thank you videos to her own fans just a few days after May's fans called May out for not appreciating them, Judy's every move feels less like coincidence and more like deliberate, reactive competition. Nobody called Judy's name. Nobody compared her to May in that moment. Yet she jumped to it as though she's constantly watching May's space, waiting to insert herself, even in silence. Why would a woman who broke a home suddenly feel the need to publicly call out the names of the children from that same home she broke and bless them? Why now? Why does she constantly inject herself where nobody is looking for her? The answer is simple. She's restless. And the painful truth, May still hasn't responded. Not once, not with words, not with shade, not with any form of acknowledgement. It's as though Judy doesn't exist. And that silence has become the loudest contributor of Judy's restless story. In the middle of all the noise, the dancing videos, the sudden declaration of gratitude, the repeated insistence that she's happy, loved, and fulfilled, a question quietly lingers in the background. Who is Judy Austin really? Is she the actress still trying to prove she belongs in the limelight of Nollywood? Is she the wife, The woman who's won the man but can't seem to find peace in that victory? Or is she simply a woman lost in a circle of proving, performing, and pretending? Judy's life has become a theater of validation, a place where her every move, every post, every word is carefully curated to provoke a reaction, any reaction, just to remind herself that she still matters, that people are still watching, that the story isn't over. But what story is she even trying to tell? From the very beginning, Judy seems to walk on a tightrope between love and controversy. Her entrance into Yul Edochie's life and marriage was not quiet, not subtle, and certainly not accepted. It was loud, scandalous, and shattering. And ever since then, it feels like she has not stopped talking, moving, dancing, laughing, and posting, as though silence would be too dangerous, too revealing. The truth is, the moment Judy stays quiet, goes into her home, continues her marriage with Yul, everybody's going to forget they existed. Everybody's going to stop talking about them. And it seems Judy is very afraid of this same thing happening. I would think she would want that, but certainly from her actions, it's obvious that is not what she wants. She wants the noise to continue. Because if the noise were to stop, what might be left? Just a woman, maybe even a wounded one, searching for a meaning in a story she helped create. Her repeated need to give marital advice online, telling women how to keep a man, is a classic mirror of someone trying hard to convince themselves first before convincing the world. Because one must ask, if she truly knew how to keep a man, why couldn't she keep her first one? Why didn't Mr. Obasi, a man she once shared a home and family with, receive the same devotion and energy she now pours into public performances for you? These questions linger because Judy has never answered them. Instead, she dances past them, she sings over them, and posts around them, and the internet watches. But at the heart of all this chaos lies a deeper, more silent battle, the battle for identity. There are women who get what they want and then live quietly with it. But Judy doesn't live quietly. Her constant need for validation through social media performances, TikTok trends, heartfelt prayers directed at children she had no part in raising, and subtle competition with a woman who remains stunningly silent tells us everything we need to know. She's not content. Contentment is really the best thing that can happen to anybody, but that's not Judy right now. She's restless. It is the restlessness of someone who took a throne but never earned the crown, of someone who entered a home but never fully belonged there, of someone who won the man but cannot enjoy the peace that comes with victory, because that victory is questioned at every turn, including by her own subconscious mind. Judy may see herself as a star, as a woman who rose above odds, who dared to love and be loved on her own terms, but at what cost? Has she lost sight of who she was before the fame, before the scandal, before the title of second wife became her most defining trait? What becomes of a woman whose entire identity now hinges on a man, a marriage, and the need to be seen? Who is Judy Austin when the lights go off? When there are no phones recording, when the hashtags stop trending? Is she proud? Is she at peace? Or is she in the privacy of her own silence, unsure? Let's look at it. When was the last time Judy was featured in a film that isn't hers or Yul's? Judy is an actress. She's supposed to be able to earn roles in movie productions of other producers, not just her and Yul. But it seems she's now tied down to Yul. Everything about her life is now about Yul. Without Yul in the picture, it seems her life suddenly becomes meaningless. This chapter doesn't seek to villainize her. It seeks to understand her, because beneath all the bravado lies the reality of a woman searching, maybe not just for love, but for relevance. And in their search, we see glimpses of both strength and insecurity. In the dark moments, how does Judy really feel? Bold? Fragile? Is she a woman trying to become something, someone she isn't even sure of yet? In the end, Judy Austin may have fame, she may have a marriage, she may even have followers who cheer her on. But the real question remains, does she have herself?